Let's head straight to Britain, where Julian Assange is about to spend his third night holed up in the Ecuadorian Embassy in London as he awaits a decision on his bid for political asylum. The 40-year-old Australian walked into the embassy on Tuesday in a dramatic bid to avoid extradition to Sweden for questioning over sexual assault allegations. Even if he's granted asylum in Ecuador, British police say they will arrest him as soon as he steps foot outside the embassy, accusing him of being in breach of his bail conditions. Julian Assange joins us now live from the Ecuadorian Embassy in London. Julian, welcome back to RM Breakfast.
G'day, Fran. Good to be with you.
Julian Assange, why did you walk into the Ecuadorian Embassy?
Well, I just noticed in your promo, Fran, you said dramatic bid to do something about Swedish...
to avoid extradition to Sweden for questioning?
Yeah, and that's, I don't know where you get that from. We have never said that that's the case, and it's simply not the case. This issue is about a very serious matter in the United States, and an announcement was made by the Swedes and the Swedish government that I would be detained without charge in Sweden immediately on extradition. They tried to cancel the 14 days that I had here to apply to appeal the matter at the European Court of Human Rights. So my opportunity to exercise my asylum rights in the United States was at an end. And this is not a matter of onwards extradition from Sweden to the United States. The situation for me here in the UK has been extremely precarious. And the refusal by the Swedish prosecutor has led to a technical refusal by the Swedish prosecutor to come to the UK for the past 18 months, despite that being absolutely normal procedure, and the refusal of her to explain it in any manner whatsoever to the British court has kept me trapped in the United Kingdom while the United States has prepared its case against me. We now have intelligence on public record that the FBI file in its case preparation now runs to 48,135 pages.
Okay, let's break this down a bit, just in the name of complete accuracy, Julian. Yes, I did say that you had sought political asylum in Ecuador to avoid extradition. What you're saying is you did it because the Swedish government had made an attempt to truncate your curtailed freedom, as it already is there in the UK, but you are not prepared to go to Sweden under the terms that you believe you would be held in there. Is that what you're saying?
That's right. My ability to exercise an asylum right would be at an end, and even to exercise rights of appeal would be at an effective end, because the Swedes announced publicly that they would detain me in prison without charge while they continued their so-called investigation without charge. So we had heard that the Ecuadorians were sympathetic in relation to my struggles and the struggles of the organisation with the United States, and the ability to exercise that option was at an effective end. And we had the surprise news that the Crown Prosecution Service here suddenly objected to the 14 days that we were meant to have to file an EU appeal, and were asking for 0.
Okay, I'll come back to those bigger issues, but in the short term, people I think are very interested in what indications you're getting from the Ecuadorians there in terms of the success of this application for political asylum.
Well, the Ecuadorian people have been quite supportive. I saw that the Ecuadorian ambassador in Australia was making supportive comments. Where Ecuador back in 2010 suggested that perhaps I should come to Ecuador and be given residency. So they are sympathetic over a long period of time. So we hope that the asylum application will be viewed favourably. But now it's a matter of gathering all the sort of extensive evidence about what has been happening in the US and submitting that with the formal request for asylum. And there's Ecuadorians on the outside of the embassy, together with Londoners protesting in the street, demanding that Ecuador accept the asylum application.
Have you got any indication of the timing of this?
We have no indication of the timing.
when this happened, it took a lot of people by surprise, including many of your own supporters. And for some people, I think it made you look more guilty. It made you look like you're on the run, desperate to avoid facing questions about those sexual assault allegations.
Well, the Swedish prosecutor, if her intent is really to proceed with the technical requirements of this case, she is perfectly entitled to come to the embassy. The Ecuadorians have said that she can come to the embassy. She can pick up the telephone like she could have picked up the telephone for the past 18 months, if that's really what she is interested in.
And did you have legal advice suggesting you seek asylum in another country, including Ecuador?
I spoke to several lawyers about the situation in relation to authorities and other supporters because of the sort of the legal requirements they're under within the United Kingdom for their own protection. I was not able to speak to them beforehand.
So your position is that you don't believe that the evidence suggests the Swedes are really interested in having you there for questioning because they could come to Britain and question you, and that's been your position all along. So you're more concerned, as you say, with what's happening in the US. What makes you so worried about the Americans? Because repeatedly the Americans are saying they are not interested in extraditing you.
Well, they're being very, very careful with their words, Fran. They now have a 48,135-page FBI file. There's official statements made in court in the prosecution of Bradley Manning, the next statement, which is on Monday, saying that the founders and managers of WikiLeaks are among the subjects of the grand jury proceedings, which have now been going since 2010. Their careful statements reflect that the Department of Justice was not able to formally confirm or deny the existence of the grand jury. It's a policy with all grand juries. But there are subpoenas everywhere. There are witnesses who have come out on public record about how they've been dragged into the grand jury. We have received subpoenas. The subpoenas mention my names. In the past month, 2 people have been detained at the U.S. airport by U.S. officials, interrogated by the FBI, asked questions about me and my organization, asked to become informers. One of those has gone on the public record. He's a prominent free speech activist from France, Jeremy Zimmerman, and the other Smarray McCarthy, who has worked with me in Iceland. So this is a hot, ongoing, active investigation, and as of 2 weeks ago.
It's 6:15 on Breakfast. Our guest this morning is Julian Assange. He's currently inside the Ecuadorian Embassy in London, where he arrived 3 days ago now, seeking political asylum. In terms of the public record, the Australian government says they've received no indication that the US would seek your extradition from Sweden if you were to go there. Can I just play you? We spoke to the Attorney General, Nicola Roxon, about this yesterday. Let's have a listen.
We have. I've made clear that I've made representations.
And the
not
answer
just to
was?
Let me tell your listeners who those have been made to, because it's not just the Ambassador, the Minister for Homeland Security, the Deputy Attorney General in the US. We have, from all of those conversations, no indication that they are about to take any action, and we have also said that we don't believe, now having taken advice from the Federal Police, that we have any evidence of Mr Assange having committed any offence that would breach an Australian law.
So that's the Attorney General, Nicola Roxon, speaking to us yesterday. No indication the Americans are about to take legal action. That doesn't reassure you? And is that what the Australian government is telling you?
They are taking legal action. They are taking legal action. There have been 9 prosecutors working this case. The evidence is everywhere. They've been issuing subpoenas to our ISPs, to the people I've been meeting, etc. It's a matter of public record. They are taking legal action. They've taken action against Twitter. We have been fighting a legal case in the public record in relation to the Twitter subpoenas for over a year now.
Talking about taking legal action.
Involves the ACLU, etc., etc. So they're playing word games here. The games that they're playing is that the grand jury needs to conclude. On the conclusion of the grand jury process, and the grand jury is a device, judicial device, if you like. It's not seen to be part of the executive. And so they can say that they are not about to extradite because the grand jury has not yet concluded. On the conclusion of the grand jury, the Department of Justice will take the indictments of the grand jury and pursue the matter. they're certainly expending a vast amount of resources. I mean, just today it was discovered that a contract put out by the Department of Justice for $1 to $2 million to maintain the WikiLeaks computer system that the Department of Justice is running. $1 to $2 million contracted to Mantech as a matter of public record, just discovered today.
So you're clearly agitated, understandably, if you believe that the US is preparing this extradition treaty for you. Therefore, your future is very much up in the air. You're waiting to hear whether the Ecuadorian government will give you protection. Do you feel cornered? Because the British police are saying that if you set foot outside that embassy, you will be arrested.
Well, I think an important question is, why aren't I in the Australian embassy? That's the real question.
Why didn't you seek protection in the Australian embassy?